this. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
Kevin,
well, if you're asking me for my reaction,
yeah.
No, if you're asking me for my reaction, I would just say this. I'd lead off with this. The same way that you can turn a black neurosurgeon into an Uncle Tom is how you turn a successful business billionaire into a racist. And that's just put an R after their name as a Republican. And that's exactly what's happening here. The left talks about being tolerant of all the different things and the various views that are coming from the other side, yet they're showing complete intolerance here. And I'm really sad that Trump had to cancel this. I really wish that he had gone on with it, because it's just leftist intimidation. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, what's going to happen at the polling booth when these hooligans decide, you know what, we're going to stop people from voting if it turns out that they want that the right chooses Donald Trump?
Well, and many of his GOP rivals this morning are arguing that he has created this culture, and I'll read to you something in a statement that Governor Kasich put out last night in the wake of this violence. Governor Kasich said, "The seeds of division that Donald Trump has been sowing this whole campaign finally bore fruit, and it was ugly." What do you say, not only to John Kasich, but also Ted Cruz, echoing those similar sentiments?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the typical Republican response, but I think that a lot of people in the country are tired of the left essentially bullying us. Every time you turn around, if you espouse any type of conservative value, which in Donald Trump's case, he's not anti-Muslim, but he says with reason that we need to, essentially limit the number of people that we bring into the country, at least verify who they are, and that's considered radical and unreasonable. Well, it isn't radical and unreasonable. When Donald Trump talks about the idea that America, in effect, is stealing the one precious resource from Mexico that they have, which is their people, and we should be encouraging those people to stay in their country and essentially build up Mexico, and the left deems it as xenophobia and a host of other things. They consider him to be racist. These are not racist things. These are things that people who are reasoned and say, look, we've invested in America. We can't have the same thing happen in our country that you have happening in yours, but that somehow is xenophobic and racist. It's ridiculous. Look, we've got Hillary Clinton, who's accepted the Margaret Sanger Award, an award from an organization, Planned Parenthood, who is essentially established to kill blacks. She praised people like Robert Byrd, who was a member of the KKK. Her husband eulogized the man, and the left says nothing about these types of things. That's the racism in America, the racism that has essentially led to blacks living substandard existences in compared to other Americans. And these people look at Barack Obama and they canonize him. They canonize all of the principles of liberalism that have led blacks to this very condition, and others, by the way, to this very condition. And they call Trump a racist who's trying to essentially bring prosperity back. So it's with respect to Kasich and these other guys, I think that what they have to understand is that the people in America who are conservative are saying, look, we need to defend our points of view. We need to defend our way of life as well. And the difference is, I was talking to a friend of mine who's over the TeaPartyCommunity.com. The Tea Party would never do something like this. They might protest, but they certainly wouldn't want to shut them down.
And Kevin, something that is also unacceptable is that 2 police officers were injured. We've got some video we can show you of one police officer who is bloodied, and just seeing these images just makes your skin crawl. In St. Louis at a rally, there were 31 arrests that were made. Most of those were for disturbing the peace. One was for assault there. Then you have this rally shut down in Chicago. There's one that was a Trump rally set to happen in Cincinnati on Sunday that has been canceled for the time being. But as far as all the chaos goes, we had Sergeant Peter Kokonis on the program earlier talking about all the chaos going on last night in particular. Listen.
In the 70s, if somebody would have knocked my partner down or another police officer down, we would have fought. We would have gone right into that crowd and started fighting. These young policemen today have much better training than we had. I have more self-control than we had, and they immediately rallied to get that officer up and surround her to protect her.
What's your reaction to the way that at times the crowds react toward law enforcement?
Well, look, it's a sign of the times. We no longer view police officers the way that they should be, which is revered. I mean, think about putting yourself in that situation. You mentioned St. Louis. Yesterday at the rally in St. Louis, which happens to be my hometown, There were people in the outside. They were being yelled at and called cracker and cracker go home and all kinds of things. It was amazing to see the vitriol because they wanted to go in to essentially exercise their constitutional right to look at a candidate. And it was amazing to watch. But as far as, I think what it shows you is how America, I think Peter used the word devolved. It has devolved. It's devolved to a place of chaos where animals get to come out and do whatever they want to do. And the citizens who just want to exercise their rights, not bother anybody, but live the American dream and to do it the right way are the ones who ultimately are penalized. But as far as the police are concerned, you know, toughest job, and I got to tell you, the guys that were able to survive that in Chicago, of all places, kudos to them.
And, Kevin, one last question before we let you go. Where was President Obama? Because you remember in Ferguson, when things were bubbling up, it looked like there might be some trouble when the indictments were coming down. He stepped up at the White House and told people just to cool it. He asked people to stay at home, stay calm. This is his hometown in Chicago. Do you think that it would have made much of a difference if he would have gotten out last night and asked these people to stay home, considering that it seems like most of them were very liberal, possibly supporters of his last time?
Absolutely not. I was in Chicago on the South Side a few years back, and Barack Obama is a pariah in his hometown. He really is. And as far as taking a leadership role in something like this, if America's holding its breath for that, then they're going to be calling us Blue Boy here pretty soon, because Barack Obama is not going to speak out against this. His administration and the left in general, they encourage this. There are people celebrating what happened to Donald Trump, and it is a slippery slope because Black Lives Matter has been disrupting Bernie Sanders. There's been no disruption by anybody else except groups like this in the political process, and this is a dangerous turn for America.
Well, and in Chicago in particular, it's such a violent place. Where's the outrage about that? Why isn't that protested more often? Kevin, thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.